Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 30 of What If Naruto Had Cosmic Energy. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this all with your friends and social media platform, and also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Legendary, Neglected Uzumaki over an Anime King, and enjoy that guys. And also for Anime King 2, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto was put through hell and adopted by the Raikage, so go ahead and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking about to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last part we left off, Kurosaki was discussing with her grandfather if it was wise to go up against Konoha, while more importantly, Naruto Uzumaki, as she saw the photographs of the hidden ring. The place was no longer a village. The entire coast was nothing but a giant cemetery by now. What if their ninjas faced the same fate like that? Meanwhile, Konoha, as Conan, was surprised how nice these people were. Strangely enough, despite, well, perhaps they weren't told that she was a part of the Akatsuki, the group that was hunting Naruto down, but still, they were just so nice and trusting, welcoming her into their home. As long as Naruto trusts her, they seem to trust her as well, without even second guessing him. Did they really have so much faith in him? As Conan saw him, as Naruto was still kind of disturbed about what happened. Despite his immense power, he was still just a kind, gentle person. Because children, that was the thing that Naruto hated, children died. Thousands of children died, and he didn't like that one bit. As Conan felt some sort of, well, guilt of reassuring him, so she did. As she tried to get him over this slumber, she realized that their, well, plan was wrong on so many levels. For someone like him to still mourn the death of people that he didn't even know was surely, well, that was beyond more generous than she thought anyone could be. The next moment, Conan found herself in a protective spear as she was saved by Naruto. As something had dropped from the sky, but Naruto caught the fist right in his palm. As this strange green hero warrior attacked him, wearing strange clothing that Naruto never saw in the elemental nature before. Naruto watched as he saw the energy around him. It was like nature energy. This guy was sinking with the earth. As the both of them battled, they flew through space and crashed in the desert of the hidden sand when they came back down. But despite his efforts, he was no match for Naruto. Naruto was just that much stronger. As Naruto got him to calm down, his name was Natsumura. As he told Naruto he could call him Natsu. His big sister was Athena. As Naruto was shocked to hear that, as he thought that Naruto had somehow stolen the power that didn't belong to him. But Naruto told him that he did not steal anything. The man told him that he had to come with him now, but Naruto told him no. As he warned Naruto that the others will come for him. As Naruto told him that he was not going to leave Earth, with especially people who did not know. As he warned Naruto that others would not be as nice as him, as he flew off rather quickly. If he had one thing, he had speed, but Naruto was still faster. As Naruto did not chase after him, as he went back and explained to the Hidden Leaf, well, Tsunade, what was going on. Jiraiya had came. As Jiraiya had some information, Itachi had set a few traps here and there, a few genjutsus here and there, to make sure that he was found because his time was run out. Kisame tried to take on Naruto when he arrived with Sasuke, but Kisame stood absolutely no chance as Naruto captured him, as he was gonna bring him back to Kirin. There, he will be subjugated to his crimes. As Naruto knocked Itachi out, Itachi tried to place Naruto under Tsukuyomi, but that didn't work on him. Itachi woke up at Konoha as he was strapped to a table with Tsunade in front of him, as Naruto had managed to fix him. As Naruto had described the illness of Tsunade, as his organs were slowly dying one after another, but Naruto could reverse the sickness on his organs, turn his kidneys, his lungs, returning them back to a healthier state. Itachi was shocked that he was alive. Snady had a proposition for him. The root agents that Danzo had, they weren't killed, as Naruto, Kakashi had found it and made their way down there. After speaking to the root agents, well, they were forced to submit as Naruto dropped a pressure on their shoulders that made them kneel. He told them that they still work for Konoha. They were just gonna have a change of boss. Danzo was gone, as Itachi had a choice to make, whether to live a new life and talk to his brother who wanted to talk to him, or die, as Snady had an injection that could end his life at any moment, as Itachi had an option to make. Meanwhile, Obito was pissed off as Kisame and Itachi just vanished. No word, nothing else, they just vanished. They were supposed to go after the 8 Hills, but it did not matter. Obito was gonna start a war, as he told Zetsus to get the white Zetsus ready. Konoha was gonna burn. So yeah guys, so basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch across the play, check it out for yourself. So this is begin this new episode. 5 white Zetsus stood over the body of a dead Kira ninja as the first one kneeled down and touched him, as his body changed and turned into a perfect replica, as he nodded toward the other 4 as they started their plan. Meanwhile, Akumo ninja was taken down as the same thing was happening there. This was a distraction. They had to cause a lot of chaos at first, just to make sure the villages were weakened so they would not interfere. At the sand, the same thing was being put into place. The bulk of the white Zetsus were underground, waiting to be unleashed. Obito knew that he could not take Naruto head on. That is why he was going to go for the gorilla attack. First, take out the villages that were allied to Konoha, put them into a state of disarray. Then he brought down the full force of the tail beasts that he now have under his control on Konoha, with enough chaos and the hidden stone as well. That was surely enough power to bring Naruto Uzumaki down to his knees. Well, at least he hoped. But he couldn't have time for doubts or hoping that this has to work. The 7, the 8 and the 9. He will go after the 8 last. First, he will take the 7 and the 9. It should be rather easy to take the 8 afterwards, as no one will stop him. Now it's just a matter of time to wait until those white Zetsus cause enough chaos to put those villages under lockdown, so they will have to close their borders, fearing another incoming attack of their own friends fighting off against them. Meanwhile, at the hidden stone, the ninjas were being prepared. Thousands of ninjas, ready to deploy, all of them, with one goal, one intention. They were supposed to destroy the hidden leaf. The hidden stone ninjas always hated Konoha, since the yellow flash decimated their forces. So this was more than enough chance for them to get their revenge on the leaf. As man, woman, all of them were gathered. Onoki was not wasting a single person. Every able-bodied that was going to take part in this war was there. He was going to be there as well. Several commanders guarding several groups. After all, they could not just directly walk up towards Konoha. They were going to surround it. They were going to burn and confine the ninjas. A large squad, the bomb squad, was there, as the hidden stone had a special bomb unit that was going to decimate the area. They were going to be the first one to enter, and then followed by the other troops that would slaughter all those remain. They were going to hit the first important places, the hospital, everything, the orphanage, that would make the Konoha ninjas retreat back to help the civilians. They were going after the bomb shelters. They were not wasting any time or holding back anything. This was a war, and in war, there's always death and chaos. As Onoki was standing there with a stern face, dressed, ready for the battle, Kurosaki was a proud stone ninja who did not fear anyone. Yes, it doesn't matter how strong you are, she would still fight you down to the end. But that day when she had met Naruto in the forest, and when she had tried to attack him, and when he got a bit serious, she felt that power that just felt unnatural in so many ways. And after what she saw the hidden rain, she was slightly worried. Meanwhile, at Konoha, Itachi Uchiha was sitting on a bed. His eyes were closed because bandage was wrapped around it. After finding out the truth about his brother, Sasuke went through a lot of turmoil and a lot of anger, in which case it forced him to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. knowing all of his life that he went after his brother, warned his brother head, and his brother did all of this to make sure that he survived. When Naruto was operating on Itachi, Naruto saw the stress glands of Itachi's eye. They were almost about to burst. Soon enough, Itachi would go blind, and there was only one thing that could fix that: the transplant of another eye. Itachi's eye had the Mangekyo Sharingan awakened, so it was a rather easy process to take Itachi's eyes and place them in Sasuke and place Sasuke's eyes in Itachi, swapping both brother eyes, and that would grant them the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and with a bit of Naruto Cosmic Energy, the healing progress that will take them at least a couple of weeks, lasts only for a day, as Itachi felt the bandages slowly being unwrapped, as he slowly opened his eyes and blinked. Itachi saw the world in a new light. The world was so clear. There was no longer any spot in his vision. As Naruto dressed back and sat down, I take it everything went well. Itachi looked towards his arms. He got to his feet as he stepped in front of a small mirror that was there. As his three totem Sharingan sprang to life, as he pushed it a step further and his eyes twirled, he had 6 pinwheels in his eyes, with 3 tiny dots around the center and a round circle in the middle, as the eyes seemed to just spin on their own, casting a dangerous and ominous view. As Itachi could see clearly, he had took the other decision to apologize to his brother, to talk to his brother, and take up the Hokage and the offer of leading the root forces in the shadow, where no one knew of him, where he would help Konoha in the darkness and protect it as always. Has he said anything? Itachi asks, seeing the fact that Sasuke has not visited him yet. I told him to wait, said Naruto. Itachi looked towards him. You thought he was not visiting you on purpose? Itachi simply nodded. Oh, he wanted to come much earlier, said Naruto, but his mind was still a bit foggy. He even wanted to be there with you with the bandage on his eyes. But, as I said, I told him to wait and think what he wanted to say. You and I both know that sometimes Sasuke can be irrational and not think things over. And he's gonna be a bit pissed. And none of us can blame him for that. But, it's your brother. You chose to live, so now you have to handle him. Just try not to make the same mistakes, said Naruto, as he got to his feet. He walked out of the room, leaving Itachi behind. Itachi just sat there pondering on Naruto's words. He was sure by now that Kisame was dead. Kisame had been taking the Kiri, as Naruto had told him that. And after what he did, after fleeing and becoming the S-rank missing him, he wouldn't be pardoned. They were going to give him death. It seems that the Akatsuki judgment on Naruto was completely wrong. He was far more stronger than he thought. He would snap from his thoughts and door open as he turned. Standing there was none other than Sasuke Uchiha. As Sasuke looked directly towards him, as both of their eyes met, Itachi looked towards his brother as he lifted a hand and gestured for Sasuke to come over. Sasuke walked into the room as he sat down in the bed. Not so close to his brother though. Start talking, said Sasuke, as Itachi nodded. Yes, his brother deserved an explanation. His brother deserved to know everything, but there was a better way. As he turned toward his brother, his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan flaring, he looked deeply within his brother's eyes, and in their eyes they were transported to a world where Itachi would show him everything, and why he did everything, and what was his parents' last words. Time skip. The brothers sat there after they came out of that genjutsu Itachi cast. Sasuke at the end of it was angry to the point tears were leaking from his eyes in rage. He was saddened, he was angry, he was feeling so much emotion, it was hard for him to cope with it. But his big brother was here, to talk to him, to help him through it all, as the both of them talked for the first time in years. As Itachi was determined to make this right, it was going to be a long day. Time skip. The nations were assaulted all over. The stone kept on marching, their ninjas moving. As Onoki spoke to the masked man, things were getting ready, the armies were moving out. But the first attack had to be the explosion. They had to break Konoha first, causing enough chaos without anyone noticing. That is the first step of causing a war. Guerrilla attacks before they send in the troops. The white Zetus will come after the explosion, using the panic to transform themselves into normal civilians and slaughter the others, including getting close to ninjas and slaughtering them as well. And that is exactly what's going to happen in a couple of hours, unknown to all of the Konoha shinobis. Meanwhile, on the rooftop of the Uzumaki Manor was Naruto and Jiraiya. As Jiraiya was currently in the village, he had told his spies to keep the lookout for the remaining Akatsuki members, which, from what Itachi said, was Hidan and Kakazu, known as the Undead Duo. The both of them has some form of immortality, as Naruto knew how to handle that. As he wasn't worried, Jiraiya looked towards Naruto though, as he saw that something was bothering Naruto, as he wondered if it was because of what happened with Hinrin, but that wasn't what was on Naruto's mind. Well, it was something else, but not exactly that. "What's wrong?" said Jiraiya. "What are you talking about?" said Naruto. "Kid, I basically raised you. I know when something is picking at you, so tell me what's wrong." "Having trouble in the bedroom?" Jiraiya asked with a snicker, as Naruto simply laughed. His face then turned serious, as he looked towards his hands, before he looked back up towards the heavens. "I can stop this, you know." "What are you talking about?" said Jiraiya. "Nagato. He believed he was a god because he had the power to change the world. And he was gonna do so with the aid of the tail beasts. But even though the tail beasts, I could stop this. I could force the hidden stone into submission. Kumo is already with us, and so it's scary. I know that I have created great bonds over the years, but a part of them know that if they try to do something, I would stop them. And that is what is holding me back from thinking dark thoughts. Because I could," said Naruto. "The hidden stone is they still hate me with everything they got, and they want me dead. But I could stop this. I don't need any help. I could simply go over there, and I could force the Tachikage into submission. And I could stop everything." "And what would that change?" said Jiraiya. "You would just be creating more enemies." "That is what I think," said Naruto. "If I do that, I would just be creating more chaos, more destruction. Because the enemies will never fall. And the resentment will run deep. And I'm still a man, despite my powers. I'm gonna die one day. Probably not in battle, but because of age. I don't even know what the future has to offer with these beings coming for me." "About that," Jiraiya said. "Are you sure this is not anything to worry about?" "He was strong," said Naruto, "but not strong enough. He said that the others will be coming, but I'm sure I can handle them. I can feel it. A part of me has not yet tapped into the full power of Cosmic," said Naruto. "And if they won't listen to reason, then I'll make them leave with my bare hands," he said. As Jiraiya walked over and placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. "It's difficult. I spent my entire life trying to find a way to bring peace in this world. But you alone have come so far. The San, Kiri, Kumo, many minor nations had joined allies with Konoha. All of the council meetings that you've went to so far, what have you heard? Nothing but praises, am I right? Even the council members, Hayashi, everyone had to admit that you have changed Konoha for the better. You have done something that no one has been able to do. Not the first, not the second, not the third. You have brought so many villages together and brought peace between them. You might think it's because of your power, but it's because of what you have done for them. And I assure you, people respect you more than you think. There's a reason those people call you Kami, Naruto, and it's not because of your power, because you did not raise your power over them one bit. You showed them the kindness in your heart. You gave them a chance to survive, and they will never forget something like that," Jiraiya said. As Naruto stood there, he then heard something whipping through the air as he turned, as Fu crash-landed right in his arms, but he did not budge as he caught her. As that made Jiraiya laugh, as Fu nuzzled her head on his chest, before she looked up and placed a kiss on his lips. Did you hear? She says. She looked towards Jiraiya. What? Said Jiraiya. Me and Naruto became one, she said. Oh? And what do you mean by that, Jiraiya said. This girl was a gold mine. She wasn't afraid to tell what was on her mind, and that made her the perfect person to give him notes. The other girls have been with him intimately. So, last night, I decided Naruto placed a hand over her mouth. What the hell are you doing, Jiraiya asks, as he looked towards Naruto with a stone glare. Please, don't tell him anything, okay? He's just a pervert. Remember what I told you. As Fu nodded as Naruto moved his hand. Jiraiya-sama, no. Pervy Sage is a pervert, and I should not tell him anything about our sexual relationship because he can use it for his dirty books. Correct, said Naruto, as he gave her a kiss, and she smiled, leaning into it. Bastard, said Jiraiya as he walked away from Naruto, as Naruto then froze. What the hell? As he released Fu, and he vanished. Jiraiya turned as he saw the girl looking confused. Meanwhile, on the market district, a small child was holding a bag of apples, a little girl with a smile on her face, as she made her way. As she saw her mother in front of her, talking to her best friend. As she was behind, with her friend, her mother's best friend, son. As she pulled out one of the apples. Want one? She asked, as the boy smiled towards her as he reached out. It was then it happened, as the ground exploded. An explosion that swallowed the two of them whole, right in the center. The people in front and behind them was blown away. The two mothers' eyes went wide as they screamed, watching their son and daughter being obliterated. Meanwhile, at the barrier core, as a messenger rushed towards the office, something crazy happened. One moment no one was there, the other moment, someone was underground. This was the work of the masked man, teleporting them underground, under the deep tunnels under Konoha, as he used his ability to break through space and time to place the bomb core there, as it was a lot of them, 20 of them in total, as they set the bombs under Konoha. That was the first one to go off. Snady got from her chair instantly. Meanwhile, the two mothers had tears in their eyes. Mom! Mom! As they turned to see their kids. As Naruto was standing there, the kids holding on to him tightly as he had them in his arms. They were running around, run out of their mother's sight, but they knew that they were behind them, and they were keeping the eye on them turn every minute. So when they turned around for the last second and saw the explosion, they thought they lost them. The two mothers rushed forward as they took their babies, thanking Naruto repeatedly. As Naruto gave them a quick smile, the boy and girl watched as Naruto sank underground. As Naruto landed in the tunnel system under Konoha. How did these persons know about the tunnel system? Whoever was helping them must know a lot about Konoha. This place was designed this way. It was a bomb shelter, but it was no longer used. It was in the second and third region of the war. As Naruto landed in front of the group of stone shinobis as he saw their headband. What the hell do you think you're doing, he said, as all of them stopped in complete shock. One of the men there, he was the captain of the group, stepped forward. You found us, huh? Well, true on this, as he threw something forward. As Naruto watched as it lighted up, Naruto raised his hand as he shrunk the bomb. Poof! The thing went off, but the explosion was too small to do anyone anything. As Naruto's eyes turned murderous. The next moment, they found themselves being thrown. Literally thrown out of the ground, breaking through the surface, as they were thrown directly out of Konoha. As Naruto exited a moment after, as he raised his hands to the heaven, all of them were captured in a tube. A tube as they were stuck upside down in mid-air, squashing against one another. As Naruto placed his hand down towards the ground as he saw the people who was pale and clapping towards him, the ground fixed itself. As Naruto flew all of these enemies out of Konoha and dropped them as they slammed into the ground. He raised his hand as the ground came up and bind their arms and bind their legs, planting them down on the ground. As Naruto landed, his eyes burning with rage. They had so much bombs on them to set, to cause so much chaos towards Konoha. It made Naruto pissed off. Onoki was really testing his luck, as Naruto felt movement under the ground, as he could feel it. as he stopped and raised his foot and slammed it on the ground. The other era exploded as hundreds of white Zetsus were blasted out of the earth, blowing them back. As Naruto stood there in front of the army of white Zetsus that looked towards him in surprise that he was able to sense them, a swirling vortex appeared in front of the army. The stone ninjas were still trapped on the ground, unable to move or unable to do anything. As they struggled to move, struggled to break out of their minds, but they could not. "I warned you," a voice said. The masked man emerged as his mask was different, as he was now showing off the Rinnegan that he stole. "So you finally decided to show yourself," said Naruto. "Well, I had to get a few allies first." "So is this it?" said Naruto. "A few stone ninjas, and also these white creatures. Do you think this is enough? If Nagato could not defeat me, how will you?" "Oh, but I'm afraid this is not all of it," he said. As Naruto watched as several giant vortex open up. As Naruto watched a giant Shikaku emerge. The two-tailed cat, the three-tailed turtle, the four-tailed monkey, the five-tailed dolphin horse, and the six-tailed slug. As the masked man smirked under his mask. "This time, Naruto Uzumaki, you will be the one to fall. I'll be taking you and your little friend." Jiraiya landed down beside Naruto as he finally appeared where Naruto was, followed by a few other couple ninjas. As they landed, "What the hell is going on?" said Jiraiya as he looked towards a massive beast in front of him. "Well, seems like he's ready to take me," said Naruto. And he did something rather stupid by showing himself. "Oh, you have it wrong. I won't be the one fighting you. They will." As Naruto saw in each of the Biju eyes, they had a Rinnegan and a Sharingan. He was controlling them. "So this is what you did with Nagato's Rinnegan," said Naruto. "Well then, I'll just pluck it out of your eye and free them." "You think you can," the masked man said. "You're powerful, Naruto Uzumaki, but not even you can be in one place at all times." As he quickly sucked himself away, rather quickly, to make sure that Naruto didn't caught him off guard. As Jiraiya looked up towards the 6 Bijus in front of him. "Got a plan," he said. "Can't allow them to destroy Konoha," said Naruto, as he watched as they raised their heads to the sky. "Huh. Seems that they're about to do just that," Jiraiya said, as Naruto moved. Meanwhile, the people of the village were in panic as they watched. The massive beast just showed up out of nowhere. But then, in all of a sudden, they were launched. The beasts were blasted away with such force, they were sent skyrocketing in the air, crashing far away in the land of fire. As the people were shocked. Who did that? Instantly, your mind ran on one person. The person that was said to be a god amongst men. It must be him. Obito wasted no time as he appeared a distance as he had to surround Konoha. As he returned back to the west, he opened a massive vortex, and in doing so, hundreds of stone ninjas came out of it. As he moved and opened another one, ninjas after ninjas as he was shifting back to where the troops were and bringing them out as they marched, all of them out for blood. With Naruto distracted, this was the best time to cause as much chaos and havoc as possible. Tsunade created a clone that quickly made his way, as Sasuke was currently talking to Itachi. They were deep underground inside of the Roots Barrack, so they wouldn't be hearing all the explosions that were going on outside, a bit distance away from Konoha. As Tsunade burst inside, looking quite frantic. As the clone looked at the both of them. "What's going on?" said Sasuke, as he looked more calm than ever. Meanwhile, at the Uzumaki compound, another clone went over there. Many of the members inside the Uzumaki compound had special abilities that would be a great help in this scenario, as all of them were willing to fight for the village. They had all trained and was powerful in their own way. As all the forces were being gathered, their village was being attacked by an unseen force that just appeared out of nowhere. As Obito flashed away once again, using his Kamui to help him greatly. He was trying to catch sight of the 7-tailed beetle, the Jinchuriki, but he couldn't find her anywhere. As he watched the stone army march, as Naruto was busy handling the tail pieces, that should give him enough time Obito came to a stop as he saw someone face the army of stone ninjas that were marching out of the vortex. Two people stood there. One of them wearing a mask, as Obito couldn't tell who it was. He had on a dark black shirt, dark pants, a poncho strapped to his back. His black hair was lowered towards his shoulders. Obito felt his chakra signature. No, it can't be. Standing beside his brother was none other than Sasuke. His Mangita Sharingan being shown on full display. Beside him was Itachi, hiding his identity with a mask. The stone ninja stood there, the army ready to pounce. Several other vortex opened up. As stone ninjas started to emerge, the army was quite large. Thousands of ninjas started to surround Konoha to bring Konoha down to the ground. The Konoha ninjas started to be dispatched as well. As Sasuke stood there as he watched the rest of them as Kakashi landed beside him. And hundreds other Konoha ninja. Kakashi sensei, seems that we're being invaded once again. It seems that way, said Kakashi, as he looked towards the standing force of ninjas. And it was a lot of them. As he heard explosions far away. As he turned his head, as he saw something drop from the sky. And a large part of the forest was obliterated. It was then that he felt an overwhelming amount of power as he watched as a massive black ball was launched towards Konoha before it was kicked directly up in the sky, where it exploded. A blinding white light swallowed the entire area as everyone had to shield their eyes. Hundreds of white Zetsus screamed as they rushed forward as they released their battle cry, running into battle. As the Konoha ninjas move out as well, a massive gust blew several white Zetsus away as Temari came down on her fan. Chakra chains shot forward and impaled several of them. As Karen stood there, all the Uzumaki members were decked out in red and black armor that suited them and fit their figure quite well. As ice needles took down several Zetsus, the three girls were able to bring down a large portion of the Zetsus. By them just appearing, three giant monsters then dropped from the heaven and crushed a large army of Zetsus. As Teiwaya was playing her flute, as her three Dokis went on a rampage, decimating the enemies. The stone ninjas didn't waste any time after that, as they start to launch jutsus after jutsus, diving into the fight. As Sasuke and Itachi shot forward, Kakashi kept his eye on the masked ninja, and his movements, they seemed familiar. As Itachi sliced through the crowd, with his new set of eyes, his speed, strength, everything about him was just heightened. Sasuke right behind his brother, as both of them were working as a perfect unit, taking down stone jonins, one after another as they stood absolutely no chance. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, said Naruto, I'll bring you guys back once this is all over. As he threw his hand up in the sky, and following his hand, all of the Bijus were sent hurtling out into space. They were all in a protective sphere that they could not break no matter what they hit against it. As their mind was currently being controlled, he could break it, but that would take him time that he didn't have as he had to get back to the village. Jiraiya was busy as he took on the army of stone ninjas that came towards the front of the gate. As he summoned Ma and Pa, he instantly went into sage mode as he started to decimate the army, followed by Yamato and several other ninjas. As Tsunade was currently giving out orders with Shikaku by her side, ninjas were spreading as the Konoha ninjas were keeping the fight out of the village, while the remaining ones inside in the Jennings get the civilians to safety rather quickly. But the fighting was coming close as Naruto flew forward as he landed in the center of the village. He placed his hand on the ground as he activated what he did to the barrier. A massive purplish barrier erupted around Konoha. As Naruto placed his fingers on the ground, thousands of tiny threads extended from his fingertips as it spread and hit each Konoha shinobi. As Naruto's voice spread over the area, the mark on your arm will allow you to get inside, but not the enemy. The village is now protected. You can go all out, he said. As the Konoha ninjas saw the mark on their arm, they had to keep the fighting at a minimum so the explosions and the debris would not cause their village any harm. But now, the barrier that erupted pushed every single enemy out of the village, no matter where they were. The force slammed into them like a train, knocking them back into the woods, as Konoha was 100% protected. As Naruto stood back up to his feet, he shook his head as he got back into the game. Several Akimichis got to their full size as they started to bombard the enemy. They thought they had a number just because they had a few thousand ninjas. As Naruto flew towards the forest and slammed both hands on the ground, as his purple engines swallowed the entire forest. He was gonna make the forest help them fight. All trees, all stones, all animals in the forest, all of them took a mind of Naruto. As they became aware to protect their home, the animals rushed out and started to take on the stone ninjas. As they rip apart Waitetsu's tigers, snakes, the trees rooted themselves out of the ground, using their vines like wood style and immobilizing, impaling ninjas after ninjas. The Konoha ninjas were shocked. Even so, worse were the stone ninjas they saw. The trees, the animals, the stone, using their bodies as boulders to crush over the enemy. Fighting with them, as this gave the Konoha ninjas more boosts, as they knew who was doing this. Naruto-kun, said a voice. As Naruto looked towards his side, where trapped in a small orb was Fu. As Naruto had shrunk her rather small, and placed her in there for safety. I want to help too, she said. He's after you, said Naruto. I won't let him lay his hands on you. Yes, but I can fight. Let me out, she said. I am strong as well. As Naruto breathed the orb around her, as Fu was touched by him as she returned back to her normal size. Stay close to me. I told you what you want, and if you manage to take it away from you, it will mean your death. I know that you care about me, she said, but I want to help protect my new home as well, and I won't let you down no matter what. As she flew off, as Naruto kept a trained eye on her, as he created a clone that trailed her, just to make sure if the masked man came, he would take him on, but he had somewhere else to be. As Naruto sank his feet in the ground before taking off in a blast. His speed, as he blasted through the Fire Nation quickly, past the border as he made his way towards the hidden stone, where he crash landed, where he saw hundreds of ninjas waiting for him. Seems like they planned for this as well. Onoki, Naruto shouted. As the ninjas saw him coming, they got themselves ready. As Naruto's eyes blazed purple as he waved his hand, a force unlike anything they ever felt before slammed into them as they were crushed to the side. As Naruto was pissed, the ground shook, the hidden stone was trembling. As rain started to fall, as thunder boomed through the sky, lightning crashed down, destroying rubble, burning the edge of the village. As Naruto was walking, bringing a natural disaster behind him, the ground cracked and ripped apart as he marched directly towards the heart of the hidden stone. Several more of the stronger ninjas were there. As they were all there waiting for him, Onoki standing there as well, along with Kurosaki. The man stood there floating as he saw the natural disaster behind Naruto. Call them back. Now! No, said Onoki. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds before I reduce you and this village to ash, said Naruto. His eyes was starting to blaze purple. His entire body started to glow softly as he was tapping into his cosmic mode, which further boosts the chaos that was behind him. The land was being torn apart. It was being flooded. It was being burned at the same time. As a natural disaster was ripping the land apart, as Kurosaki saw the might, as Onoki held his arm forward, as he released a particle style, as Naruto raised his hand and blasted it away, as his style crashed into the ground, tearing and evaporating the land. I warn you, said Naruto, as he flew straight under earth. He just broke through the earth. The place then started to shake unnaturally, as Onoki started to get worried. Maybe, just maybe he pushed his luck, as the place started to rise. Kurosaki's eyes went wide. What the hell is he doing, she said, as the village itself started to rise out of the ground. As Naruto was lifting the entire hidden stone. As Naruto was literally holding up the village as he flew. He flew. A giant crater the size of the hidden stone was remained behind. As everything was lifted, the earth, the side mountain, everything was lifted off the earth. as Naruto brought it up in mid-air. He then held his hand up as a massive purple barrier surrounded the village, trapping it in the sky. As Naruto come through the barriers, he looked directly at Onoki. Onoki was shocked. He never knew that the kid possessed this kind of power. As he looked down towards the ground, "Pick your successor," said Naruto. "What?" said Onoki. "I said pick your damn successor," said Naruto. "Because I'm gonna give you a chance. You are gonna die right here and now. And whoever you choose is gonna stop this war. Because if they don't, so help me to Kami, I'm gonna turn this village upside down and squash it like a twig. Everyone will die. Do you really want to put your old, senile life on that, said Naruto? Everyone, they will no longer be a hidden stone. I have the power to do so. So as I said, pick your successor, said Naruto. As Onoki stepped back, the man was truly shocked. He never expected this to happen at all. Things should have gone his way. They had Bijus, several of them. They had those white creatures, thousands, 100,000 of them. So why? Why was he losing? It made absolutely no sense. He didn't know what to do. As he knew, if he did not listen though. As Naruto held his hand and started to squeeze it, as the hidden ring started to break literally, the building started to collapse, one after another. Alright! Onoki screamed. He realized that he overplayed his hand, and if he did not do something, all of them were gonna die. Old man, said Kurosaki. Be quiet, said Onoki. He didn't even want to face her. He should have listened. But his old senile pride got in the way. It would be her. My granddaughter, he said. I thought so, said Naruto. The ninjas around Onoki decided to do a last strike for their master. They would not let things happen this way as they launched various jutsus as Naruto waved his hand. All their attacks turned into dust. As Naruto moved, as he appeared in front of Onoki, Kurosaki watched as their necks snap. With such speed, Naruto snapped all of their necks before standing in front of the old man. As he looked into Onoki's eyes, who moved back, Onoki was shocked. As he just right then and there realized his mistake. He wasn't dealing with someone ordinary. He made a big mistake, and now, as Naruto grabbed his throat, it was gonna cost him his life. Put my village down. I would gladly die for my village in a day. She will be my successor. She will be the one to stop this, said Onoki. As he rather die than let the hidden stone be completely destroyed. As Naruto looked towards Kurosaki, as Naruto pulled a kunai out of his pocket and gave it to the man and stepped back. As he snapped his finger, the village slowly descended back down towards the earth, comfortably placing back where it was. Onoki raised the kunai. Do me proud, he said as he looked towards Kurosaki. Before she could say a single word, he stabbed himself right to the heart. As he saw no other way of coming out of this alive, he overplayed his hand. He made a mistake. And he was Tishikage and he would die any day for his village. After all, he's lived a long, long life. Tears came from Kurosaki's eyes, but Naruto did not really care. Because he was gonna destroy everything if the man had not done what he said. This time, he would not care about their people because unlike the Ken Rain, they were destroying his home. As Naruto turned towards Kurosaki, he moved and grabbed her shoulder as she was gone with him. As Naruto appeared back at Konoha, she was shocked. One moment they were there, the next moment they were not. Did he move here with speed or was teleportation? She looked at him with a nasty glare if glares could kill. As she felt that strange energy wash over her. Speak to your people, said Naruto. As she gritted her teeth. Hurry up before I kill them all, said Naruto. His tone was stern. He was not playing around. He was angry. People of the Hidden Stone, said Kurosaki. Our Tishikage has fallen. Our home will be destroyed if you do not stop. Stop your advance immediately. The people looked up in shock as they saw the granddaughter of the Tishikage standing there in mid-air with the kami of shinobis. You all heard her, said Naruto. Return home, unless you want to die. I'm gonna give you to the count of 5. 5. 4. Do it! Kurosaki shouted. 3. 2. As some of them started to move back, but the stubborn ones, stay down there. 1, said Naruto as he raised his hand to the sky. Kurosaki started to speak, but Naruto threw her away as she crashed towards the ground as he held his hand up and fired several hundred beams into the sky. They came down as they skewered every single last stone ninjas who still kept on with the charge and still kept on attacking Konoha. The others were glad that they flee, as the bodies were literally pierced right through, burning them to ash as they screamed in agony. Kurosaki watched the complete, defeated form of her village just crumble right there and then. After a loss that happened all those years ago and this combined loss, their status has dropped completely. She glared one last time up at Naruto, but he did not even look at her as she quickly moved off. As Naruto lowered himself down to the ground, he then vanished as he appeared in front of the masked man. Thought I forgot about you, said Naruto, as Obito was pissed off. This did not went as he planned. As the man was pissed off as he looked around, he quickly sucked himself away and appeared a far distance, only for a shattering punch to slam into his face with such ferocity that he slammed into the wall behind him. Obito was shocked to his core as he picked himself up, seeing a furious Naruto standing there. He did not fight Naruto though. As he moved away once again in a swirling vortex, the lower half of his mask was destroyed, as a bone-crushing kick slammed into his back as he spat out blood. As he crashed face first into the dirt, he picked himself up. How? As Naruto simply looked at him, his eyes burning. I've linked myself to you. There's no escaping for you now. The moment you step inside of Konoha, my cosmic energy leash onto your clothing, and it's now in your skin, in your blood. Wherever you go, I can find you. Obito did not take that at face value as he vanished once again, using a swirling vortex to appear on a high mountain peak. He moved instantly as Naruto's feet completely obliterated the mountain, as Obito started to jump on the rocks, moving back. As he tried to let Naruto phase through him, but Naruto's face literally turned completely purple and break through his dimension. As Naruto has been here before, and not to mention the cosmic energy inside his bloodstream was reacting to him in a negative way, he messed up. As Naruto's fist slammed into his guts, blood burst from his mouth as he was sent skyrocketing down into the water. He crashed back first into the water as Naruto slammed his hand into his stomach, pushing him deep down as he braked through the core of the ocean, pushing Obito down. As Obito felt his breath running short, he reinforced his lungs with chakra as he quickly opened his mouth and spewed fire directly in Naruto's face. But yet, the fire turned into mist the moment it made contact with the purple energy surrounding Naruto. As Naruto grabbed him and twisted and threw him, Obito break through the broken ground and he was tossed through the water like a bullet. As Naruto appeared above him and dropped a knee into his stomach. As Obito felt something snap as he crashed on the ground, he tilted his head as Naruto's feet obliterated where his mask was. He got to his feet and flipped as he held out his hand as a massive gravitational force slapped into Naruto. As Naruto's body was blown back but his legs extended like they were made of elastic as Naruto pulled himself back down as his body reformed naturally. Obito released a fireball jutsu that slammed into Naruto as Naruto changed the fire into lightning and turned and shoot it back at him as Obito let the phase right through him. There's no way that you can escape me, said Naruto. You're gonna die, and I'm gonna make sure of it. Meanwhile, a far distance away, as a man, strange blue lightning crackling around his body stood like a god. His mere presence felt holy as he stood like a literal god in mid-air. In front of him there were several other people, as their features are not normal either. The power that they hold All this time we thought that Athena power just vanished. But now we know that it's out there, with someone that does not deserve it. He is not one of us, and he will not be. We will take this power and bring it back with us, but not the person that wields it. Natsu was standing there as well, but the one that was speaking, as he looked to be the leader of the group. Let us go, he said. As they all move out, they were coming, and they were coming for Naruto. But guys, to be in subscribe right here. If you want the next part of new, like, subscribe, comment down below and turn on the bell notifications to be posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto was put through hell and adopted by the Raikage over an Anime King 2. And I posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto was the legendary neglected Uzumaki. So go over on Anime King and enjoy that, guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. And yes, if you're new, you're not mistaken, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels. Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if fun every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace out.